The first question says oranges cost $1.45 per kilogram. Asher buys 1.2 kilograms of oranges. Find the change he receives from $10. So let's first find how much 1.2 kgs of oranges cost. That's going to be 1.2 times 1.45, and that equals to $1.74. So how much change does he receive? We subtract 1.74 from 10, and that gives us $8.26. Then it says Maria pays a fee to sell strawberries at a market. Each day she pays $75 plus payment for the mass of strawberries she sells. The fee Maria pays per day is shown on the graph. This is the fee per day with respect to the mass. One day Maria's fee is $40. Use the graph to find the mass of strawberries she sells that day. If her fee is $40, that's going to be over here, and this gives this. So that's basically 330 kgs. Then it says on Saturday, Maria sells 270 kgs of strawberries. On Sunday, she sells 220 kgs of strawberries. Find the total fee she pays for these 2 days. So 270 and 220. This is for 220. This is for 270. So this is like around 190, 185. And this is 210. So 210 plus 185, and that gives us 395. So total fee she pays is $395. The fee per day for Maria now increases. Each day she now pays $90 plus a payment of $60 for every 100 kg of strawberries she sells. On the grid, draw a line to represent this new fee when she sells 0 kg to 500 kg of strawberries in a day. So each day she now pays $90 plus the payment of $60 for every 100 kgs. And to draw a line that represents the fee from 0 kg to 500 kg. So since the initial amount is 90 kg, our first quadrant is going to be 0.90. And since she's paying 60 more for every 100 kg, so since she's paying the added cost of 60 to 90 for every 100 kgs, so then for 100 kgs, it's going to be 90 plus 60, that's $150. So at 100, it's going to be at 150. Over here. Then at 200 kg, it's going to be again 150 plus 60. So as the 100 kg increases, you add $60 for that. So that's 210. Then for 300 kg, we're again adding 60, so 210 plus 60, that's 270. And then for 400, it's 270 plus 60, which is 330. And lastly, for 500, it's going to be 330 plus 60, that's 390. So you connect the points. And this is a new graph. Let's just write the ratio 1.6 kg is to 600 grams is to 2.4 kg in simplest form. So now we have a ratio and we have different metric units. We first need to convert all the quantities into the same unit. And then we can simplify it. So I'm going to convert the kgs into grams because that's simpler. 1.6 kgs is going to be 1.6 times 1,000. So 1,600 grams. 2.4 kgs is going to be 2.4 times 1,000, which is 2,400 grams. So 1,600 is to 600 is to 2,400. Can cancel out the zeros. So now we have 16 is to 6 is to 24. All of them are divisible by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 24 divided by 2 is 12. Since 8, 3, and 12 don't come in the same times table, so this is the simplest form of this ratio. Next question says the diagram shows a face spinner numbered from 1 to 5. The score is the number the spinner lands on. Spinner is spun once. Find the probability that the score is 3. So there are 5 sections on the spinner and 3 is on one section. So the probability for the spinner landing on 3 is going to be 1 over 5. Then it says the probability of the score being even. So for the score being even, we need to see how many even numbers we have. 2 and 4 are the only even numbers out of the 5 numbers, which means the probability is going to be 2 over 5. Then it says the spinner is spun twice. The 2 scores are added together. Complete the possibility diagram to show all the outcomes. So as you can see, each score is being added. So over here, we're going to add 3 and 4. That's 7. 3 and 5, 8. Then 4 plus 1, 5. 4 plus 2, 6. 4 plus 3, 7. 4 plus 4, 8. 4 plus 5, 9. 5 plus 1, 6. 5 plus 2, 7. 5 plus 3, 8. 5 plus 4, 9. And 5 plus 5 is 10. That's your diagram. Now from this diagram, we have to find the probability that the outcome is 4. So for the outcome to be 4, we have 1, 2, 3. 3 possibilities that give us 4. And the total number of possibilities are 25. So it's going to be 3 over 25. Then it says find the probability that the outcome is greater than 6. So for the outcome to be greater than 6, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 possibilities out of 25. So that's going to give us 10 over 25, which we can simplify to 2 over 5. That is your final answer. Question 3 says exchange rate between dollars and Malaysian ringgits is $1 equals to 4.19 Malaysian ringgits. The exchange rate between dollars and Pakistani rupees is $1 equals to 179.12 PKR. Find the exchange rate between Malaysian ringgits and Pakistani rupees. So $1 is 4.19 Malaysian ringgits. And $1 is equals to 179.12 Pakistani rupees. So 4.19 MYR has the same value in dollars as 179.12 PKR. We have to find the value of 1 MYR in PKR. So that's going to be 179.12 divided by 4.19. And when we divide the two, we should get 42.75 PKR. That is your answer. This is Farhat invest $1,500 in an account paying compound interest at a rate of 4% per year. Wilson invests $1,500 in an account paying simple interest at a rate of X% per year. So if we highlight this information, this is for compound interest, this is simple interest. Both are different. Farhat and Wilson have the same amount of money in their accounts at the end of 2 years. Calculate the value of X. So let's first make the equations. For Farhat, he's paying compound interest at a rate of 4% per year. So that's going to be 1,500 times 1 plus 4 over 100 raised to the power of 2, which equals to $1,622.4. Now for Golson, he's paying simple interest at the rate of X% per year. So that means 1,500 times X over 100 times 2 plus 1,500. In simple interest, you find the interest and then add it to the initial amount. Initial amount is 1,500, which they're investing. So 1,500 times X over 100 times 2 gives us the value of the interest. And then we add that to the initial investment to find what is the value of the amount after 2 years. So zeros get cancelled out. 15 times 2 is 30. 30x plus 1,500. Both of them have the same amount in their accounts at the end of 2 years, which means 1622.4 equals to 30x plus 1,500. Bring 1,500 to the other side to subtract from 1,622.4, which gives us 122.4 equals to 30x. And x is going to be 122.4 divided by 30. And that gives us 4.08. Question 4 says the diagram shows the first 4 patterns in a sequence. So we have pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, pattern 4. We're asking us to draw pattern 5 on the grid below. So as you can see, as the triangles are increasing, white triangle started from 1, then went to 3, then went to 6, and then went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whereas for gray triangles, this is for white, for gray it's 0, then 1, then 3, then 6. So we added 2 over here, we added 3 over here, added 4 over here. So the next pattern, you're going to add 5 over here. Over here, you start with adding 1, then added 2, then added 3. So now you're going to add 4. So which means white triangles are going to be 15 and gray triangles are going to be 10 for pattern 5. So if we draw that, white 15, gray 10. So total is supposed to be 25. This is where we have 25 triangles. So let me draw this again. So now for the coloring, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 colored gray triangles and the rest are white triangles. This is the pattern. Let's just complete the table. So total number of triangles started with 1, then went to 4, then 9 to 16. If you look at the numbers, it's 1 squared, then it's 2 squared, then it's 3 squared, 4 squared. So means this is going to be 5 squared and this is going to be 6 squared. That's how you recognize your total number of triangles. Then for the number of gray triangles, as I told you, we were adding consecutive integers. So we added 1, then we added 2, then we added 3, 4, and then 5. For number of white triangles, we're also adding consecutive integers, but we're starting with adding 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Write an expression in terms of n for the total number of triangles in pattern n. So for the total number of triangles, like I said, we were squaring the n value. So it's going to be n squared. Then write an expression in terms of n for the number of white triangles in pattern n. So for the white triangles, we had the sequence of 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, and so on. Let's find the common difference. Between 1 and 3, the difference is 2. Between 6 and 3, the difference is 3. Then 4. Then 5. Then 6. This is our first difference. Now we find the second difference. That's 1, 1, 1, and 1. As you can see, the second difference is common as compared to the first difference, which shows that this is a quadratic sequence. Whenever the first difference is not common, whereas the second difference is, that clearly shows us a quadratic sequence. So whatever your first difference is, you times that by n squared and divide the result by 2. So that gives us n squared over 2. We're going to assume that this is our nth term. Table. And these are going to be your n values. So if it's n equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the original sequence, we have 1, 3, 6, 6, 10, and 15. So if we put n equals to 1 and n squared over 2, that gives us 1 over 2. 2 squared over 2 gives us 2. 3 squared over 2 gives us 9 over 2. 4 squared over 2 gives us 16 over 2, which is 8. And 5 squared over 2 gives us 25 over 2. Now, if you match n squared over 2 sequence numbers with the original sequence numbers, we can see that there's a difference. First term is supposed to be 1, not half. Second term is supposed to be 3, not 2. Third is supposed to be 6 and not 9 over 2. So to convert half into 1, obviously we add half to that. So if we assume that the nth term is n squared over 2 plus n over 2, T1 would be 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2, which is 1. T2 would be 2 squared over 2 plus 2 over 2, which is 3. So as you can see, as we substitute values of n, we're getting the original sequence again. So nth term for the y triangle is n squared over 2 plus n over 2. That is your answer. Then says the third term of a linear sequence is 34. The eighth term of the same linear sequence is 14. Find the value of the first term of the sequence. P3 is 34. P8 is 14. We have to find T1. Since it's a linear sequence has the nth term formula of T1 plus n minus 1 times d. D is your common difference. N is your value of the term, and T1 is your first term. So if we make equations for T3 and T8, T3 is going to be T1 plus 3 minus 1 times D. So that's 34 equals to T1 plus 2D. That is the first equation. Then T8 is going to be T1 plus 8 minus 1 times D. That's 14 equals to T1 plus 7D. We can solve the two equations simultaneously to find the value of the first term. So 34 equals to T1 plus 2D. If we subtract the two equations, we get negative 20 equals to 5D. So D would be negative 4. I mean, substitute that in either of the equations, equation 1 or equation 2. I'm going to choose equation 2 because that's going to be simple to solve. So 14 equals to T1 plus 7 times negative 4. 14 equals to T1 minus 28. 14 plus 28 equals to T1, which is going to be 42. That is your first term of the sequence. So for this, you need to be aware of this formula. You need to know what each of these things stand for. What's T1, what's the value of n, what's the difference, what's Tn, and based on that, you create your equations and find the missing value. Let's just find the value of the first negative term of the sequence. So for the first negative term, firstly, we need to create our nth term formula. That's going to be 42 plus n minus 1 times negative 4. Negative 4 is a common difference and 42 was our first term. So that is 42 minus 4n plus 4, which is 46 minus 4n. This is our nth term. For the first negative number, so that's going to be at n equals to 12. Because if we do 46 minus 4 times 12, that's 46 minus 48, which is negative 2. This is our first negative term of the sequence. So at n equals to 12, we'll get our first negative term. Question 5 says, describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. Shape A onto shape B is clearly a reflection in the line y equals to negative x. If we draw that, we can see that each point is equidistant from the mirror line. Hence, the transformation is a reflection in the line y equals to negative x. Y equals negative x. So it says shape A is mapped onto shape C by enlargement of scale factor 3. Two of the vertices of shape C are 2, 5, and 5, 2. Find the coordinates of the center of enlargement and then find the area of shape C. So scale factor is 3, 2, 5, 5. 2, 5, and 5, 2. Let's connect this. This is this side. This matches with this. Scale factor was 3. So if this length increased by 3 units, so it's going to be this. So that's going to come over here. This is going to come over here. So if we connect the points, we can see that this is our enlarged shape for shape A. So C. And then for the center of enlargement, we're going to connect the corresponding points with each other. And if you notice, all of the points that are connected with the line are passing through this. They're intersecting at this point, which is negative 4 and 5. So the point where they're all intersecting, that's the center of enlargement. Negative 4 and 5. So that's how you find your center of enlargement. You first enlarge your shape if it's not given, and then you connect the corresponding points with the line. And then you extend the line to a point where all the lines are meeting. So the point where they're all meeting, that is where the center of enlargement lies. So that's negative 4 and 5. Then it says find the area of the shape. For the area of the shape C, It's a trapezium. Trapezium has a formula of 1/2 times height times sum of parallel sides. Or you can just count the boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half. So 13 and a half is your area of shape C. Luckily, you have two options. Either you can count the boxes or you can just use the formula. Either way, you get the right answer. Part C says transformation T is represented by the matrix 0, 1, negative 1, 0. Transformation T maps shape A onto shape D. On the grid, draw shape D. So in such questions, there's a formula that we're going to follow. When you're transforming a shape from matrix, the formula that we use is matrix times the original shape equals to the transformed shape. So original shape is A and transformed shape is D. Or like you call it the final shape. So we're going to pick the coordinates of A and transform them step by step. And then we'll get the coordinates for shape D. So first, let's write down the coordinates of shape A. Shape A has the coordinates of negative 1, 6. Then we have negative 2, 6. Then we have negative 2 and 5. And we have negative 1 and 4. So let's transform these. So for the first one, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, the matrix, times negative 1 and 6. So 0 times negative 1 is 0. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Then 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, and 0 times 6 is 0. So that leaves us with negative 1 and negative 6. This is the transformation for negative 1 and 6. So I'm going to write the new coordinates over here. Negative 1 and 6 transforms to negative 6 and negative 1. Now let's do the next one. So now we have negative 2 and 6. So 0 times negative 2 is 0. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And 0 times 6 is 0. If you're noticing, we're doing row times column, and then this second row times the column. So that's negative 6 and negative 2. So let's write that down. Negative 2 and 6 is transformed into negative 6 and negative 2. If we're noticing, we're swapping the x and y value, and then we're making x negative. So now, if we notice the pattern, next one is negative 2 and 5 is going to be negative 5 and negative 2. And negative 1 and 4 is going to be negative 4 and negative 1. So to save time, if you notice the pattern, you can just transform it, or you can continue multiplying the matrix for each point and find the image for that. So now that we have the coordinates for shape D, we can easily plot them. Negative 6 and negative 1 is here. Negative 4 and negative 1 is over here. Negative 5 and negative 2 is this. And negative 6 and negative 2 is this. So this is your image of shape D. This is describe fully the single transformation represented by the matrix 0, 1, negative 1, 0. So the single transformation that is being represented over here is 90-degree rotation in anti-clockwise direction at the center 0, 0. How did we reach to that conclusion? If we go back to the graph, we're showing the transformation from shape A to shape D. So we're going in this direction, which is anti-clockwise. And since we're moving just 90 degrees, so it's a 90-degree rotation. And if we check the distance of the point from the center, we can see that this point, this original point was 4 units vertically and 1 unit horizontally. So the transformed shape is 4 units horizontally and 1 unit vertically, which is the opposite. So that shows that it's a 90-degree rotation. Direction is anti-clockwise, and the center is 0, 0. Then it says in the Venn diagram, shade the region represented by P union Q. Union means all elements that are in P and Q. So that is this, and this. Then it says use set condition to describe the shaded region in the Venn diagram. So now as you can see, the only thing that's unshaded is the intersection. So that means it is X intersection Y whole complement. Everything that is not a part of the intersection is in this set. Next part says that we have a universal set with numbers 1 to 10. X is a factor of 40, which is represented by set A, and set B shows that X is an odd number. Complete the Venn diagram. So factor of 40 is 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, and 10. Odd number is 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. That shows that 5 is going to come in the middle along with 1. For the factors of 40, we have 2, 4, 8. And for odd numbers, we'll have 3, 7, and 9. So outside it's going to be 6, and that is it. Now it says list the elements of A complement intersection B. So anything that is not a part of A but intersecting with B. So that's going to be 3, 7, and 9. These are the elements that are not a part of A but intersecting with B. One element of the universal set is chosen at random. Find the probability that this element is in A intersection B. So A intersection B had 1 and 5. So that's going to be 2 out of 10, simplifies to 1 over 5. The reason why it's 2 out of 10, because in total we have 10 elements. And from those 10 elements, 2 are in A intersection B. So 2 out of 10. Then it says solve x over 3 equals to 7. So x would be 7 times 3. Just cross multiply. That's 21. Solve 6x minus 5 equals 2 times x plus 3. We begin with expanding the brackets on the right-hand side first. So 6x minus 5 equals 2. 2 times x plus 2 times 3. That's going to be 6x minus 5 equals to 2x plus 6. Now we collect the like terms on each side. So 6x minus 2x. When you move the term from one side to the other side, whatever function is performing, it's going to do the opposite. So in this case, since 2x was being added to 6, on the left-hand side, it's going to be subtracted now. Similarly, when you move 5 to the right-hand side, instead of being subtracted, it's going to be added. So now we have 4x equals to 11, and x is equal to 11 divided by 4. Which you can rewrite as a mixed number as well. That would be 3 whole number. That would be 2 whole number, 3 over 4. Then it says factorize 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. So as you can see, we have a quadratic equation because the highest power of x is 2. So we can do middle term breakage. For middle term breakage, we can multiply the quotient of x squared, which is 3, with the constant, which is 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. Now what we need to do is we need to find factors of 24. We already have 3 and 8. Then we have 24 and 1. Then we have 2 and 12. 6 and 4. And that's about it. Once you have listed out all the factor sets, what we do is we pick that set of factors, which when added or subtracted gives the middle term. Middle term will always be the term which has x with it, not x squared, just x. So in this case, we need to pick that set, which when added or subtracted gives us -2. We know 3 and 8 won't do that. 24 and 1 are also not going to do that. Same with 2 and 12. But 6 and 4, we know that 4 minus 6 is -2. Hence, it's going to be 3x squared minus 6x plus 4x minus 8. The reason why we're writing x with 6x and 4x is because the middle term was 2x. And we're not trying to find 2, we're trying to find 2x. So 6x, -6x plus 4x gives us -2x, whereas -6 plus 4 will give us -2. You're basically breaking 2x down into -6 and 4x, because if we recombine it, it's going to go back to the original equation. So basically it's the same thing, but you're just rewriting it to factorize it. After this, we factor by grouping. So what we do is we split the equation into 2 groups. This is the first group. This is the second group. So the first group, we have 3x common. So x minus 2 comes in the bracket. And the second group, we have 4 common. So again, x minus 2 comes in the bracket. Now between 3x and 4, we can clearly see that we have x minus 2 common. Hence, in the next bracket, we'll have the remaining terms, which are 3x plus 4. So this is your fully factorized answer for this quadratic equation. Then it says ax plus b whole square equals to 4x squared minus 12x plus c. Given that a is greater than 0, find the value of each of a, b, and c. So let's expand the bracket on the left-hand side. Ax plus b whole square, which has 4x squared minus 12x plus c on the side. So to expand it, we're doing ax plus b times ax plus b. So first we times ax with ax plus b, and then b with also ax plus b. So we have 4x squared minus 12x plus c and 4x squared minus 12x plus c. So that's going to be a squared x squared plus abx, then again abx and b squared. equals to 4x squared minus 12x plus c. Combine the like terms because we have abx and abx, which are like terms because the variables are the same, the power of the variables are same. So a square x square plus 2abx plus b square equals to 4x squared minus 12x plus c. Since both sides are equal, we can compare the terms, which means a square x square is the same as 4x squared. X square gets cancelled out. A square equals to 4. A equals to plus minus 2 because we take the square root of 4. Since they say a is supposed to be greater than 0, we leave a equals to negative 2 and choose a equals to 2. Now we put 2abx equal to negative 12x. The x get cancelled out. A gets replaced by 2. So we have 2 times 2 times b equals to negative 12. B equals to negative 12 divided by 4. And b equals to negative 3. Lastly, b squared equals to c. Negative 3 squared equals to c. And c is 9. So these are the three values. A is positive 2, B is negative 3, C is positive 9. Question 8 says, the volume of a cone is 1 over 3 pi r square h. Volume of a sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cube. Curved surface area of a cone is pi r L and surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r square. A solid is formed by placing a cone on top of a hemisphere. The cone and the hemisphere each have radius r centimeters. The height of the solid is 10 centimeters. The curved surface area of the hemisphere is 145 centimeters square. Show that r equals to 4.8 correct to 2 decimal places. So what we're going to do is, they've given us the surface area, curved surface area of the hemisphere, which is 145 centimeters square. If the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r square, surface area of a hemisphere is 2 pi r square. It's going to be half of 4 pi r square. So 145 equals to 2 pi r square. 145 divided by 2 pi being square rooted gives us the value of r, which is 4.80 centimeters. So that is your first answer. Then calculate the volume of the solid. So as you can see, we have a cone and we have a hemisphere. If the radius is 4.8, this part is also 4.8. Height is given as 10. If you subtract 4.8 from 10, what we get is 5.2. So this part over here is 5.2. So we have the height of the cone now. We have the radius of the hemisphere, the radius of the cone. So we can easily find the surface area. Easily find the volume of the solid. So volume 1, which is going to be that of the cone, is 1 over 3 pi r square h. That is going to give us 125.46 centimeter cube. Then volume 2 is going to be, since it's a hemisphere, so 4 over 3 gets divided by 2. So that's 2 over 3 pi r cube. So 2 over 3 pi r cube is going to be 231.62 centimeter cube. So total volume is the sum of these two. Which adds up to 357.08 centimeter cube. That's your answer. Calculate the curved surface area of the cone. So for that, we need the value of L, which is the slant length. So once again, this was 4.8. This was 5.2. So if I draw this separately over here, we have a right angle triangle. So L squared is going to be 5.2 squared plus 4.8 squared, which is going to give us square root of 50.58, which leaves us with 7.11 centimeter. So curved surface area is pi RL, pi times 4.8 times 7.11. That leaves us with 107.25 centimeters square. This is the curved surface area of the cone. Part B says diagram shows two sectors of circles. Sector here has an angle of x and radius y. The angle of sector B is 20% smaller than the angle of sector A, and the radius of sector B is 20% longer than the radius of sector A. Calculate the area of sector B as a percentage of the area of sector A. So, if the radius of sector B is 20% longer than the radius of sector A, this is going to be 1.2y. Angle is 20% smaller, so that's going to be 0.8x. Why? Imagine this is 100% of x. So from 100% of x, if we're taking away 20% of x, that's 80% of x. So 80% of x written in decimals is going to be 0.8x. Similarly for y, it's going to be 100y plus 20y. That's 120y%. So as a decimal, that's 1.2y. So now using this, they're saying calculate the area of sector B as a percentage of the area of sector A. So let's find the areas. Area of A, that's x over 360 times pi y squared, which is x pi y squared over 360. Area of B is going to be 0.8x over 360 times pi times 1.2 y squared. That's going to give us 0.8x over 360 times pi times 1.44 y squared. So area of sector B as a percentage of area of sector A. So that means area of B is going to be divided by area of A and then times by 100. We're going to do 0.8x over 360 times pi y squared times 1.44 divided by x over 360 pi y squared. And this entire thing is times by 100. Simplify this. 0.8 times 1.44, that's 1.152 pi y squared divided by 360 times, we're going to take the reciprocal. So that's going to be 360 over x pi y squared times 100. So as you can see, the pi y square and x are getting cancelled out. 360 is getting cancelled out. So left with 1.152 times 100. It's basically 115.2%. That is your answer. Question 9 says a shop sells 2 varieties of apple tree. The cumulative frequency diagram shows the heights in meters of 80 variety A trees. Use the diagram to estimate the median. So for the median, it's the middle value, which means half of 80 is 40. So 40 gives us the value of 1.33. This is what I'm getting. Then the 30th percentile. So a 30th percentile, that's going to be 30 over 100 times 80. It's going to be 24. So the 24th value is 1.28. That's what I'm getting. 1.28. Then trees with a height greater than y meters are graded class 1. 2/5 of the 80 trees are graded class 1. Find the value of y. 2/5 of 80 is going to be 32. So 32 trees are graded class 1. 32 is going to come over there. So these trees have a height greater than y meters. So that means they have a height greater than 1.31. So y is going to be 1.31. Their height is greater than 1.31. Complete the frequency table for the heights of the variety A trees. So for this, what we're going to do is that we're going to first find the cumulative frequency values at each of the maximum value of the intervals. So at 1.4, we have 58. Then at 1.5 and 1.6. At 1.5, we have this. And at 1.6, we have this. So we have 58. We have 76, and we have 80. So using these values, I'm going to find the frequency. So we know that 6 plus 24 is 30. And these are the cumulative frequency values. So if at 1.4, the cumulative frequency is 58, that means to find the frequency for this interval, we subtract 30 from 58, and that gives us 20. So this is the frequency for this interval. Then for the interval of 1.4 to 1.5, the cumulative frequency is 76, which means from 76, we subtract 30 and 28, or directly 58. And that gives us 18. And lastly, from 80, we subtract 76, and that gives us 4. once again, what you will do is first you will find the cumulative frequency values for each of the intervals, and you will use the maximum value from the interval, not the midpoint of the interval, not the minimum value, the maximum value. So from 1.4, I get the cumulative frequency of 8. From 1.5, I get the cumulative frequency of 76. And from 1.6, I get the cumulative frequency of 80. So once you have the cumulative frequency values, we know that we get cumulative frequencies by adding the frequency values. So what we do is, to find the frequency value from 1.3 to 1.4, we subtract 6 and 24 from 58. That gives us 28. And to get the frequency value for 1.4 to 1.5, we subtract 58 from 76, which gives us 18. And for the last one, we subtract 76 from 80, and that gives us 4. So this is how you find your frequency values using a cumulative frequency diagram. Then the frequency table shows the heights of 50 variety B trees. We have the intervals for the height, we have the frequency. Using the midpoints of the intervals, the estimated mean height of these variety B trees is 1.81 meters. Calculate the value of P and Q. So they've made this question quite simple for you for highlighting themselves that you have to use the midpoints of the intervals, which means you have to find the midpoints of the height intervals, use those to find the mean, and from that you find the value of P and Q. So first let's find the midpoint. So for the first one, it's going to be 1.6, then 1.75, then 1.85, and lastly, it's going to be 2.1. So using these midpoint intervals, I'm going to find the mean value. The mean value is already given, but we're going to create an equation for the mean. So that's going to be 1.81 equals to 1.6 times P. We multiply the X value with the frequency, plus 1.75 times 15, plus 1.85 times 17, and plus 2.1 times Q. And this entire thing is divided by the total frequency, which is given as 50. Because there are 50 trees. That's what the question says. So now, let's simplify this. 1.81 times 50, get rid of the fraction. And this is going to be 1.6p plus 2.1q plus 57.7. That's 90.5 minus 57.7 equals to 1.6p plus 2.1q. That gives us 32.8 equals to 1.6p plus 2.1q. This is our first equation. Now we know that 50 is the total number of trees, so we can create a second equation, which is going to be 50 equals to p plus 15 plus 17 plus q. So that is going to be 50 equals to 15 plus 17 is 32. So 50 minus 32 equals to p plus q, and that is 18. Next, what we can do is we can use this equation and the other one and solve these two equations simultaneously. You can either use the substitution method or the elimination method. I'm going to use the substitution method over here and make an equation where it's going to be 18 minus q equals to p. And I'm going to substitute this in this one. So now what we have is, we remove this part. $32.8 equals to 1.6 times 18 minus q plus 2.1 q. 32.8 equals to 28.8 minus 1.6q plus 2.1q. 32.8 minus 28.2 equals to 0.5q. 28, that's 4. So 0.5. So 4 divided by 0.5 is going to give us 8. And P is going to be 18 minus 8, and that is 10. So that's your answer. Question 10 says diagram shows a pentagon. Calculate the interior angle B. So pentagon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. N is 5. So first you can find the sum of interior angle. Sum of interior angle. That's going to be N minus 2 times 180. That's going to be 5 minus 2 times 180. That is 3 times 180. And that gives us 540. So to find this angle, let's call it X. We'll do 540 minus all of these other angles. And that is going to give us 87 degrees. That's your answer. Then it says in the pentagon, AE equals to 8 centimeters, AD equals to 15 centimeters. Calculate the length of ED. ED. So let's make a triangle first. ED is what they want us to find. AE is 8 and AD is 15. So we have two lengths and one of the angles. Since we don't have two lengths and the angle between them, so we cannot apply cosine rule. However, we have one complete set of angle and length, which means we can apply the sine rule. So it's going to be 15 over sine of 120 equals to 8 over sine of D. That's going to be sine of D equals to 8 times sine of 120 over 15, which gives us 0.46188. So D is going to be sine inverse of 0.46188, and that leaves us with 27.51 degrees. Now this angle is 27.51. So you can find this angle by subtracting 120 and 27.51 from 180, and that gives us 32.49. So now, using sine rule again, we will find the value of x. So 15 over sine of 120 equals to x over sine of 32.49. So x would be 15 times sine of 32.49 divided by sine of 120, which leaves us with 9.3 centimeters. That is your value of x, or ED. Question 11 says Q is the point N negative 4, R is the point negative 1, 8, S is the point 3, 2. The length of QR is given as 13 units. Find the two possible values of N. Now, distance basically has the formula of square root of y2 minus y1 whole square plus x2 minus x1 whole square. Distance is given as 13. And we're trying to find the distance of QR. So 8 minus -4 whole square plus -1 minus n whole square. Move the roots, so 13 gets squared. So 8 minus -4 is 8 plus 4, which is 12 squared. Minus 1 minus n squared. So that's 169 equals to 144 plus -1 minus n squared. 169 minus 144. So -1 minus n squared. That's 25. We can easily square root both sides. Get rid of the square. So now we have plus minus 5 equals to -1 minus 9. So positive 5 equals to -1 minus 9. We swap 9 and 5, so 9 equals to -1 minus 5, and that's -6. That is one value. -5 equals to -1 minus n. Swap them, n equals to -1 plus 5, n equals to 4. That is your second value of n. Then it says RST is a straight line and RS is to RT is 2:5. Find the coordinates of T. We have the coordinates of R and S. R is -1, 8, and S is 3, 2. RST is a straight line. So if I draw a rough representation, -1 and 8. So let's say this is R. 3, 2. 1, 2, 3. This is S. This is a straight line. Okay. RS is to RT is 2:5. So if you say T is somewhere over here, let's say RS is 2 units over RT is 5, which means ST is 3/7 of RT and RS is 2/7 of RT. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the concept of vectors to find coordinates of T. Now we know that RS over RT is 2:5. And if we cross multiply this, 5 times RS equals to 2 times RT. Now RS is basically RO plus OS. That is RS. So 5 is or OS minus OR. That is also RS. Similarly, RT is OT minus OR. Okay. So you multiply 5 with OS and OR. That's going to be 5 OS minus 5 OR equals to 2 OT minus 2 OR. Now remember, it's not 20 and 50, it's O. So it's OS and OR. So now I'm going to bring 2 OR on the left-hand side. So 5 OS minus 5 OR plus 2 OR equals to 2 OT. Minus 5 OR plus 2 OR is minus 3 OR equals to 2 OT. Now OS has the coordinates of 3, 2. So 5 times 3, 2 And OR has the coordinates of -1 and 8, which equals to 2 times OT. Actually, I'm going to make the arrow over here so that you don't get confused. So now it shows that it's 2 and 5. Yeah. Perfect. So let me erase this part over here. So that's going to be 15 and 10 minus or plus because we're multiplying negative with it. So that's going to be +3 and -24. That equals to twice of OT. So 15 plus 3 is 18. 10 minus 24 is -14 equals to twice of OT. So we divide 18 and 14 by 2. Sure. So that's going to give us 9 and -7 as OT, which means the coordinates of T are 9 and -7. That is your answer. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of RS. R had the coordinates of -1 and 8, and S had the coordinates of 3, 2. So if we say this is RS, this is your perpendicular bisector. So as you can see, when two lines are perpendicular, the product of the gradients equals to -1. So first we find the gradient of RS is going to be 2 minus 8 or 3 minus -1. -6 over 4 simplifies to -3 over 2. So MRS equal times M2 equals to -1. M2 is the gradient of the perpendicular bisector. So -3 over 2 times M2 equals to -1. M2 equals to -1 times -2 over 3, which gives us 2 over 3. So M2 is the gradient of the perpendicular bisector. Now we need the midpoint because the perpendicular bisector equally divides the line into two equal parts. So midpoint of RS equals to -1 plus 3 over 2, comma 8 plus 2 over 2. That's going to be 2 over 2, 10 over 2, that's 1 and 5. So using this point and this gradient, we find the equation of the perpendicular bisector. So y minus y1 equals to m times x minus 1, x minus x1 or 1. So cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. 3 times y minus 5 equals to 2 times x minus 1. 3y minus 15 equals to 2x minus 2. 3y equals to 2x plus 30. It just says equation, so you don't need to convert it into slope-intercept form. You can leave it as it is.